Hi everybody and welcome to Push Your Luck video number 21. Today we'll be looking at a new release from Z-Man Games called Helios. It is by designers Martin Kellenborn and Matthias Prinz, and it plays 2 to 4 and roughly takes about 45 to 60 minutes. Now this is an action selection style of game, and it's a kind of a medium weight Euro type of game. So let's go into the gameplay, how it plays, what are the components like, and I'll give you my thoughts after that. Okay, these are the components you see for a player in the game of Helios. What you will see is a player board. So the player will have two of these boards. One is a building board, which will denote the different buildings that a player can build during a game. So each player will have the same exact board. Next, each player will also have a player board where they will be able to build their land, earth tiles, as well as do most of their actions upon. Right, so you see there will be a sun track here, which the number will denote how many rounds the sun can move around the board. There will be a earth or a land tile where players can build the earth tokens onto these white color hex tiles, and the various point scoring elements as well. There will be also an area where players can put their mana. So this is the magic of mana for the game. Okay, it looks a bit like a cherry, and there's a little hole in the middle as well. And also you will see that there are areas where players will be able to place the action tiles that are selected underneath this main player board. Okay. In addition, there are several things in the game that we'll explain to it as we get to them. So, how do you play the game? Now, each player will be given a player aid, and on it you'll be listed several rounds. So, depending on the number of players, it will usually last either 3 to 4 rounds. So for a 4-player game, it will last 4 rounds. At the end of 4 rounds, there will be an end game scoring, and whoever has the most points will win the game. So this is your typical Euro style of games. Alright, so in the first round, in each round you see that there's 3 phases. The first phase is actions. So this is where the main bulk of things will happen for the players. Depending on the number of players, they'll have a certain number of actions they can select. I mean, some number of action tiles they can select. So for example, for 4 players, in each round they'll be able to select 4 action tiles. That means they can do 4 actions. So for 4 players, a total of 4 rounds, they can have a minimum of 16 actions in the entire game. I'll explain why it's called minimum, because you have the potential to be able to get bonus actions. So I'll elaborate on that later. So each player will take 1 action tile, the next player will go, the next player will go, and so on and so forth until all 4 players have already taken the 4 action tiles. Then move on to phase 2, which is characters. I'll explain that later. And then phase 3, which is cleanup. And then we keep doing this until the game has ended 4 rounds, and then we count points. Okay, so what are the actions that are available for you? Now in phase 1, players are able to select action tiles. Where are the action tiles? The action tiles are laid out in 3 columns of 6 each. So there will be 18 action tiles for you to select. You will let everyone know which is the bottom of the action tile, and during each player's turn, they are able to select one of 3 action tiles. But they can only choose the bottom tile of each row, each column. Alright. So for example, if player 1 takes this, player 2 will now be able to select from this one, or this one. Okay, so what are the actions available for you? The first action is the building action. So they select they select this tile, and then they can build a building. Oh, it's not focusing very clearly. Yeah. So this will allow you to build a building. Okay, so you take one of these tiles, and then you can build a building or temple. So if you want to build a building, these are the available buildings that you can build. This is the resource required to build this building, and you get certain benefits. So for example, if I build the observatory, I need 1 black cube. I'll get 3 points at the end of the game, and then plus 3 to my sun movement track, right, which is on the board. This will mean that you'll be able to you pay 1 brown and 1 green cube, you get 4 mana, you get 3 points at the end of the game as well. Now each of these buildings has certain actions that will give you benefits. For example, this one means that whenever you whenever you do the sun movement and the sun shines on a temple, you get extra 3 points. This means that when you build a temple, you only need 1 cube to build the temple, regardless of how many temples you already have on board. This means that when the sun rotates around the board, instead of 5 points, as most players will get, you get 10 points. This means that when the sun shines on a earth tile, it allows you to, if you have to grow a cube onto the earth tile and it already has an earth tile, you can stack 2. Usually, earth tiles can only stack 1. This means that there will be 1 stack of wild earth tokens later on. You can take 2 from the bottom and immediately put them onto your board. This means that you get 1 extra action immediately. Alright, this means that one time immediately you can trade in 3 mana for 4. 1 mana for 4 points. Anything that looks like this is a point, and maximum up to 3. So it means you can get 12 points immediately from this building. So the rest are quite self-explanatory. Now the other thing you can do with the building is to build a temple. So that will be done on the player board. Now the player board will have all these earth tiles, all bonus tiles. I'll explain that later. You can build a temple, you pay a resource, or depending on the number of temples you have, you pay the number of resource, and then you put the temple onto an earth tile like that. Okay, and you get a certain amount of mana. So how do you pay for your temple is all written in the player aid here. Right, this will mean that if you have only 1 temple, you only pay 1 resource. White cubes means any resource, and you get 1 mana. If it's the second temple, you need to pay 2 of any resource and get 2 mana. If it's 3, you pay 3 of any resource and then 3 mana, and so on and so forth. Now, so if you happen to build this building which I mentioned just now, you just need to pay 1 resource for the temple, regardless of how many temples there are already on the board, and but you still get the number of mana. All right. So that is the building action. Now take note, later on when you start to get tiles like these are bonus tiles, which I explain later what they do. These are bonus tiles. I explain later what they do. You can also build buildings on them, or build temples on them, or put cubes on them as well. Next, the second action that you can do is to get earth tile. So either there will be 5 earth tiles for you to choose from, right? Which you can see there. 5 earth tiles for you to choose from, which will give you different resources. So when you take the earth tile and you put it onto your board, you immediately get the type of resource that you of the color of the earth tile. So if you get a brown one, you get a brown cube, green cube, black cube, blue cube, and gray cube. I mean, they probably means like earth, bamboo, water, obsidian, and metal, I think. Well, you can read up on the theme in the game. The other special thing that you can build onto your earth tile, onto your board, are these bonus tiles. Alright, so what do they do? The first one will give you 1 point for every space around it, which means that when the game ends, if you put it here like that, this bonus tile will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. So the maximum that this bonus tile can give you is 5 points in the game. Next, you can actually build this, which will give you 2 points for each cube that is either on it or on the earth tiles touching this, adjacent to this bonus tile. So it's 2 points. Cubes at the end of the game are no points, so this one will give you points. Next, this one, it will give 2 points for any earth tile or bonus tile that is touching it. Itself will also count as earth tile, so you give bonus tile, it will give you 2 points. So potentially you get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 points for this bonus tile. Lastly, 4 points for each temple that is either on it or on the earth tiles or bonus tiles around it. So potentially you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 4, 28 points. Okay, so these are the bonus tiles you can get using the earth tile actions that you select. Okay, last but not least, it is the sun rotation one. So this is the I would say the highlight of the game in a way. Okay. Now if you look at the board, at the start, players will be putting their sun disk here, and this will indicate the sun movement, how many steps the sun can move here at the number 2. So at the start, player's sun can only move 2 spaces. Now at the start as well, players will be able to choose one of either the green, the blue, or the black earth tiles, and then put it onto here. This will be the starting land, so to speak. And also get 1 resource. Now, if you select the sun movement action, the sun will move. How does the sun move? It will move in the clockwise direction, always in the clockwise direction, and along the perimeter of the earth tiles or bonus tiles that you already placed onto your board. Which means that if now I activate the sun movement, I can move 2 spaces, so I move 1, 2, like that. Later on, there will be slightly more complicated configurations where you can move. So for example, in this case, if I move 1, 2, I'll move 1, 2. If I extend or increase the movement speed of my sun to 7, I can move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, for example. Now, a few things to note. The sun must always end at a different space where it started from. Why is that so? Because there's a building benefit that allow you to put the sun onto an infinite space, which means that the sun can now move infinite spaces. So you cannot move the sun, 1 round back the same space again. You must always move, must always be away a different space that it started from. Next, when you move past this area where it's bordered by the little yellow dots, alright? If you move past this area, either move past here, or if you end at this area, you will get 5 points. That's provided if you have not built this building, which will cancel out the 5 points. And if you have built this building, you get 10 points instead of 5 points. So that's another benefit of moving the sun around. Last thing about the moving sun around, where it ends, it will shine on the land that it touches. So in this case, it will shine on this land. If it's an empty land, the sun will allow you to grow 1 cube. That's how you get cubes in the game, other than putting it onto the board itself. So you get 1 green cube. Now take note, if it's already full, usually you cannot get any more cubes unless you have already built this building, right? Which allows you to have a stack of 2 cubes on the earth tile. Okay. Now if it's a temple there, it will shine on the temple as well, and you score a point. You score 1 point for the temple itself and any land that's touching the temple. So in this case, the temple will score 1, 2, 3 points. If you had built this building, right, which will give you 3 extra points for every time a sun shines on the temple. So in this case, 1, 2, 3 plus 3 more points is 6 points. Okay, so that's the sun movement part. Now take note, there are some conditions when you're placing the earth tile. You cannot block out the sun. That means you cannot place earth tiles around it to block out the sun. That's not allowed. You cannot move the sun into a dead end. So for example, you have tiles like that. For example, alright, the sun cannot move into the dead end itself. Alright, however, if the sun is already here and you build it in this way, the sun can still move out. It's just that in the next round, when it comes back in, it cannot go into the dead end. Alright, and you cannot build the earth tiles outside on this orangey part. Alright, this is for the sun to still move around if you build up so many earth tiles. So that is the action part of the game. Now the last thing to note, there are many different colors, right, for the action tiles that you are selecting. Okay. Now what are the colors for? When you get an action tile, you place them underneath your player board in that particular color. If you select a white one, this is a wild. This is a wild piece. You can select any color that you want to place it. If on your turn you selected an action tile and it becomes a 4th in that particular color that you selected, or that you place it in, you will get a bonus action. So first you do this action that you have taken a tile for, and then you do a bonus action. What is the bonus action you can do? You can do any one of this again. You do not need to pick up another tile. You just be able to do an action. So you can get an earth tile again, or you can do a sun rotation, or you can build buildings, either build a temple or build a building itself. So that's quite useful because as you recall right at the beginning when I said, most of the time players will have a minimum of 16 actions. 4 actions per round 4 rounds, so there's 16 actions. However, if you've played correctly and you manage to get all the right actions, you can have up to maximum of 20 actions, because if you manage to get a bonus every round, so plus another 4 free actions, you get 20 actions. And if you build this building, which will tell you that you can have an extra action now, which means you have a maximum of 21 actions. So anyway, you can kind of plan what you can do, how to maximize your points based on these 16 to 21 actions that you can potentially get in the game. So that's the first phase of a round. Now we go to the second phase of a round, which is characters. The second phase of a round involves characters. This means that players can now hire or activate characters. I need to get this in focus for okay, hire or activate characters. Now what does hire means? In the entire game there will be 8 characters, and these are the only 8 characters that will appear in the game. There's no extras, there's no randomizing part of this, so it's always these 8 characters for every game that you play. Now if you look at the character card, right, you'll see that there's a mana on top. Get it in focus. Mana on top, alright. Most characters have an end game scoring here. Alright, this will give you 12 points at the end of the game. There's activation cost. So the characters, when you hire them, do not give any benefits immediately. You need to activate them before they give you benefits. Some characters have additional benefits. So this character, when you activate her, you get 2 more sun space movements, which means your sun can move 2 more spaces, and you get 2 mana. Alright, so when you activate, you flip over in the sunny side, ta-da! And you get 12 points, and you get move up 2 on your sun space, and you get 2 mana. And this means that the 12 points is yours for the entire game. Now what are the other character tiles? This one will give you 3 points per mana that you have at the end of the game, or 2 points and 2 points per cube at the end of the game. But this will cost you 4 mana to hire, and it's a bit more complicated to get this activated. Why is this important? Because end game, usually you only get 1 point for each mana that you have. So now it gives you 3 points. You do not get any points for cubes at the end of the game, but this character will give you 2 points per cube at the end of the game. So it's quite useful. Next, this character will give you 3 points for each different earth type that you have. So if you have all 5, you get 15 points. So this is a maximum of 15 points. And you get 1 resource when you get him. Activate him. This one, for every bonus tile that you have on your board, you get 5 points each. And it gives you 2 sun spaces and 1 mana. And this is the requirements. It costs you 2 mana. This one, the endgame scoring, instead of 4 points, you get 8 points. And you get 2 mana. So what does this thing mean? Now in endgame scoring, one of the endgame scoring things is to look at your board and see all these 4 points here if you have a tile adjacent to it. So if at the end of the game, if I have a tile adjacent to this, I'll get 4 points. Alright, so on the entire board, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can potentially get 20 points from the board. Or if you have this character, it will give you 8. So 8 times 5 is 40 points. So potentially 40 points. Next, you get 2 points for each earth tile and bonus tile on your board. So it's 2 points. And it costs 3 mana to hire this character. Next, you get 3 points for each building token that you have on your board. This means the temples as well as the buildings. So potentially it could get quite a lot of points, because most of the time players during the game will be building quite a lot of buildings, maybe about 5 buildings. So potentially already 15 points and maybe 1 temple. So around 15 to 18 points. Lastly, this one will give you 2 points for each multiplied by the step you are on the sun movement track, which is this one. Alright, so you can see maximum you can get is 28 points. However, I find that this is quite unlikely, because if you calculated it correctly on the board, you need to hire all the characters that give you the plus sun, as well as build all the buildings that give you the plus sun to be able to hit 14. And by the time you do that, I think you will not be able to benefit from this moving the sun 14 steps, nor will be able to get benefit from this character's benefit. So I'm not very sure about this character's viability in the game. Now, after this is done, how do you select? So players with the most mana will select the character first, and then next most, and so on and so forth. If there's a tie, whoever is the nearest to the start player will break ties. And then players can activate. Now, typically in most of the games that we've played so far, we just activate as per our own time, own target. We don't need to follow the turn order because it doesn't really impact each other. Okay, next, after you're done with the hiring characters, you go to the last one, which is cleanup. So there'll be next 6 new Earth tokens, 18 new action tiles. For 4-player games, there'll be 2 action tiles that are not in use. So you have 16 new action tiles and you change the start player. Now for the 3rd and 4th player, there'll be a bonus cube. At the start of the game, the 3rd and 4th player will also be able to get this bonus cubes. So in a way, if you think about it, when the start player rotates around 4 players, each player will get a chance to be a start player. Each player will also be able to get the bonus cube twice. Alright. Some of the little things that they put in this play as well. At any time, you can trade two of any cubes in any combination into one of any cube that you want. Alright, so this is quite a useful but seldom used note to take note of. Lastly, when the game ends, you do a final scoring. So as mentioned, you get 4 points per corner space, unless you get a character which gives you 8 points. You get bonus tokens, you get points for them. All buildings will give you points. All activated characters will not give you points. And you get 1 VP per remaining mana, unless you get the character which gives you 3 VP per remaining mana. Resources are worth nothing. And you have this handy dandy little bag that you can put points that you score during the entire game. So it's quite useful. Instead of a player shield, you get a little bag which can keep your points, which we found quite useful. So after you count everything, all the points in your bag, then you count all the points, whoever has the most points will win the game. So let's go to my final thoughts about Helios. Now, as mentioned at the beginning of this video review, Helios is I feel is a medium weight Euro style game, very similar in the vein of like Russian Railroads, where you have multiple tracks to victory and you're trying to do the best that you can within a number of turns that you can get to score as many points as you can. The average point scoring is usually about 100 to about 120. I've managed to get about 126 before, but that's using a tempo track. Now, so there are quite a few good things about the game. It is easy to learn, easy to play, people can get into it quite fast, quite efficiently, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. It plays about 45 to 60 minutes and it's very accurate in that sense. We didn't feel it overstay its welcome. We get a lot of fun out of this amount of time that you play, and we don't feel that it's getting bogged down. Everything is pretty fast. The action selection part and the way that it gives you bonuses is quite interesting. It does create some interaction between players if they do look at each other and they gut. For example, I know that if you get another blue action tile, you'll be able to get a bonus action. So I may try to block you, but often players are more concentrated on their own board rather than looking at other players, so they may not pay attention. Therein lies one of the problems of the game. Most of the time, it's a bit of a multiplayer solitaire until you come to the point where players are actually looking and they are blocking because they may have taken the action bonus tile to score more points, taken your one that you wanted. For example, if you went with a tempo strategy, you may wanted to get the tempo bonus tile, which gives you 4 points, and someone has taken it, then you're not very happy about it. And if players take the bonus tile which do not allow you to get action tiles which do not allow you to get a bonus action, that will also kind of suck. And the final interaction that players will have would be in terms of the buying of the characters. Right? Some players, if they have more money than you, they may go first and they selected the character that you wanted. But other than that, most of the time players are on their own, managing their own board, and it is already quite a lot of things to manage because you're looking at your own board. There's a lot of things you're planning here. What cube should I get? Whether should I move the sun now? Whether should I build this building, build that building, that kind of thing. So I feel that it's quite like Russian Railroads in a sense, because most of the time players are concentrated on the board. But Russian Railroads, because there's an action selection part in Russian Railroads as well. You're placing your workers to get the actions, so that creates an interaction. In here, it's not so much because even though someone has selected the action, unless all 6 of the particular action, for example, of the particular sun movement action has been selected, then you're kind of screwed. But otherwise, there usually is enough actions for you to select to do what you want. It's just that you will not be able to get the bonus actions that you require. One of the other problems that I found is that initially when you're explaining the sun movement around the board, players can get a bit confusing, because this is I think quite a refreshing mechanism that we have not seen before, where you're moving the sun around and then it will give you benefits. It's as if you need to plan ahead, and it's very tempting. Most players will start to go for that and start to think, oh, how can I move the sun around to maximize and let it shine, and then people start to hum the song, doo 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 doo, here comes the sun, when they select the sun action token. So that can be irritating, or that can be nice depending on whether you like the song or not. The other problem about the game is that when it comes to the characters, selecting the characters, most people tend to do the mana rush thing, which they get a lot of mana at the beginning, so that at the end of the first round, they can choose the character they want. So if you happen to not go by that track, you can be a bit screwed, because you may not get the characters that you want. So getting characters help to determine what objectives that you are trying to go for. Whether you're going for the many mana, many storage end game objective, or you're trying to boost up your sun movement track, that kind of thing. So it does help to give you some objectives, some end game goal to aim for. So if you don't have enough mana at the beginning, you may not be able to get the characters that you want. And after you get the characters that you want, you start to think about activation. And most players can wait until the end to activate the last round to activate them, unless your characters have certain benefits that give you mana and so on and so forth. But usually they give you only 1 or 2 points, and after you have selected all the characters, you don't really need the mana anymore. So it's kind of odd, because the mana is just then there to give you 1 point, 1 point, 1 point, that kind of thing. Although it's still points, but it's not significant enough usually to change the game. What else about the game? The little bags to keep the tokens is good. Instead of playing it, you can use those. Setup is a bit fiddly, because you need to set up the earth tokens. After the players have taken the earth tokens, you need to set up a wild stack of earth tokens. That means you combine the remaining earth tokens left behind, and you shuffle them, you create a random stack of earth tokens where players can then see what they can get from it. The components are good, art is nice, it's clear, the symbols are very clear as well. Although the way that they put the symbols for the buildings, like the requirements are below, and the left hand side got the benefit, right hand side got the benefit, is a kind of not the norm. Most of the time, when buildings give you benefits, it's quite clear. You pay this resource, you get this benefits, it's quite clear. So the way that they formatted it is kind of odd. I guess it's to do with the drawing as well. But otherwise, everything else is very, very good. The play aid though is a bit of a thin paper quality, which is a bit odd given that the rest of the components are all nice cardboard and a nice thick cardboard quality. Components are nice, good. The mana gems are like little cherries that you can eat, so please don't eat them. Yeah, but otherwise, Helios has been quite a fun game to play. I would think about the replayability though, because it seems that a temple track where you have a few temples clustered together, and when the sun shines on them, they all give you points. If you combine that with the building that gives you 3 extra points for each temple that the sun is shining on, that can be quite devastating. Can you imagine every round when you do the sun rotation action, you get 20 points, for example. So if in one particular round you can do the sun rotation 3 times, you already get 60 points. So that can be a bit imbalanced. I'm not too sure about that, whether the other tracks or other ways to victory can beat the temple track. But maybe after more plays we can see. But right now the temple track seems to be the most powerful and the most imbalanced. But otherwise it's quite a fun game to play, quite a good game to play. If you think that this is your style of game, do check it out. So this is Helios from Z-Man Games. Thank you!